Your feeling is the most important piece of the puzzle. Your vibration, your energetic state is the most important piece of the puzzle. Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Erin, and this channel is all about becoming the coolest person that you know so that you can live an extraordinary life. And of course, if you choose to do so, build an extraordinary business. I've made a lot of videos here on my channel about changing your life because it is one of my greatest missions in life to help women like you to succeed, to live a delicious experience. I've had so many highs and so many lows in my own life, and I really want to share all of the wisdom and knowledge that I've accumulated on my way to becoming the most successful version of myself. You know, again, I've created a lot of videos here on this channel all about changing your life in general, but I really wanted to specifically focus this video, this changing your life video, on the pursuit of success. I really want to give you a full-blown system to help you every single time that you feel like you need a bounce back. Because here's the thing, when you are pursuing success, whether it's a successful career as an entrepreneur or success in any area of life, you are going to have high highs and you're going to have low lows. And there are going to be hurdles on your way to achieving your goals and your dream life. The problem that I see with so many people I encounter, and this is definitely something that I experience myself, is that when we experience these lows, we stay there. Or we generate lows for ourselves because we may experience a small hiccup, but then we ruminate and catastrophize and essentially set ourselves back so many steps. If you want to create success in your life and you want to do it quickly, the thing that you need to do is stay in forward moving momentum. And so what I wanted to do in this video is I actually created a system for myself. It is called the Megastar Mindset System. And what this actually is a system that helps me change my life. It is a system that helps me change my mindset, my perspective, how I'm feeling about myself, so that I can get back on that action bandwagon of things that I need to do in order to physically change my life and the experience that I am having here. So much of this system, by the way, is really about changing the internal. One of my really good friends, Gala Darling, I'm going to leave her tagged because she's absolutely amazing, the biggest vibe of a human being. She, in lots of her books and her content, talks about the fact that your only job is to feel good. And I believe this to my core when it comes to achieving success. Now, I have mentioned this many times, but I am not a manifestation expert, nor do I claim to be a manifestation teacher. However, I do like to mention my experience with manifestation here on this channel because I've manifested a shit ton of cool stuff in my life. Like, look at me, I'm sitting in a fucking star dress right now in my own studio. What the heck? But anyway, I know that when it comes to manifestation, and I'm sure you know this too, that your feeling is the most important piece of the puzzle. Your vibration, your energetic state is the most important piece of the puzzle. But it's no different when it comes to the things I am an expert on, which is building a business or building a successful brand, building a career for yourself, building a platform, whatever it is that you want to do to become successful. The way that you feel is one of the most important factors, because when you feel good, when you feel good about yourself, when you are perceiving yourself in a positive way, you show up differently in the world. If you're creating content, you are way more magnetic in that content creation. It is an energy that is transferred through the screen, getting people more interested in the things that you're doing. But it doesn't matter. If you work for a not-for-profit and you are trying to raise money, the way that you communicate with your potential donors is going to be reflective of how you feel about yourself. Any career, any entrepreneurial endeavor, you will go for more, do more, be more, and therefore have more when you have a mega star mindset, when you, as in Gala's words, feel good. So if you make feeling good and working on your mindset your number one priority in life, I guarantee you will be so much more successful than if you sit there and you just focus on taking action. And so, like I said, what I wanted to do in this video was I actually wanted to give you a system because it is normal to not feel good. You are absolutely going to experience times in your life where you do not feel good, whether it's monthly, whether it is because something happens in your life, whether it's a financial stress, whether it's a relationship stress, whether it's a health stress. Like, the fact of the matter is, life's life, and there is always going to be things that are challenging your momentum. And that's what this video is all about, giving you a system to bounce back into that feeling good state, to bounce back into that mega star mindset. All right, longest intro of all time. Let's jump in. Before we get into the actual system, I do just want to give you 3 tips that are gonna get you thinking like a mega star. By the way, being a mega star is just feeling your absolute fucking best. Like being the coolest person that you know, BTCPIK energy. Like when you perceive yourself as a star, shine bright like a motherfucking diamond, you know what I mean? Like when you feel that shiny and you're able to take up space, that's the mindset that is going to contribute to your ability to be successful. So that's what I mean when I say megastar. But the first tip that I do have for you is that you need to take responsibility for your own emotional state. I have ADHD. I know firsthand what it is like when something small happens and I catastrophize that into a world-ending experience. We have to know how to emotionally regulate. This is going to be one thing that does massively contribute to that momentum that I'm going to keep mentioning, your ability to positively keep moving forward and radiate positive energy as you do that. But I know I'm going to get really vulnerable with you here. Like I absolutely am someone who, when a stressful experience happens, like I can just massively catastrophize. Like, I don't know, one day I accidentally miscalculated the expenses in the business and I was like, that's it. Every single person in my family is going to be homeless, shut the business down. I'm going to work at the supermarket. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. That was exactly my experience. So I know that when I get triggered, if I don't nip it in the butt before it becomes a thing, I'm going to waste so much time and often unnecessarily. So you have to take responsibility for your own emotional state. I know that you've all heard the quote, you know, you can't control what happens to you, but you can control how you feel about it. And that is so true. The only thing that we actually have control over is, of course, our emotions and our reactions. And so you need systems in place, which we'll talk about a little later, but you need systems in place to emotionally regulate. But the first step to that is that you have to take responsibility for your emotions. If you are constantly in that victim state of like, well, I'm angry because everybody's pissing me off, or like my partner said this thing, or my boss said this thing, or Instagram algorithm is getting on my nerves, or whatever it might be. If you are constantly at the mercy of everybody else and that is going to determine how you feel about yourself, you're never going to be able to take control over your own destiny. The next piece of advice that I have is that you have to realize that working against your inner saboteur is not a goal that you achieve once. It is a daily practice. It is a daily commitment. That voice inside of your head that tells you you're not good enough, you can't do this, you look ugly, you're not smart enough, you're never going to be successful, it's too late for you, you're too old. All of these voices, all of these things that voice inside your head communicates with you, you have to daily work on overcoming that, calling the bullshit on those thoughts, giving yourself proof that those thoughts are false. Because I think some people have this idea that when you become successful, all of those thoughts disappear. And a really awakening moment for me, actually, I was watching RuPaul's Drag Race. I mean, I don't watch anything else, so that's no surprise. But I was watching RuPaul's Drag Race season 10, and there is an episode called Evil Twins. You can go look it up. RuPaul, who is very successful, highly successful, was in the workroom and talking to some of the contestants of the show about how fighting that voice inside his head, fighting that inner saboteur is a daily practice. And I was like, holy moly, someone who has everything in terms of like fame, success, money, all of that, still on a day-to-day basis has to battle the voices that say negative things. And you hear about stars and celebrities all the time who are battling their imposter syndrome. You know, Diane von Furstenberg, she has this interview, a really famous one, where she talks about even with all the success she's had as a designer, like still thinks that she still wakes up every day feeling like a fraud, like someone's going to catch her out and be like, actually, you suck. And so working on this inner saboteur, working on overcoming these inner critical thoughts is a daily practice. So just remember that, because if you work really hard and become successful and you still have negative things to say about yourself inside, you are not alone. It's just a practice to override those every single day. And another thing, and this is one I just want to throw in there for all of my ladies out there, and this is something that I've been talking a lot more about on my Becoming the Coolest Person I Know podcast, which I will also leave linked below. I'm doing solo episodes, just chatty things about kind of similar topics to what I talk about here on YouTube, but a little bit more vulnerable and personal. But you have to abolish the good girl mindset. You know, I recorded a podcast episode a few years ago talking about how being really humble has held me back. If we are truly going to step up into our megastar selves, if we are going to feel like the freaking baddest bitch alive, and we are going to take up space, and we are going to radiate the most magnetic energy ever, we need to let go of that. I need to be good. I need to be humble. I need to be quiet. Because I guarantee you, for so many women, whether you realize it or not, it is in there. You know, we have been taught to sit down. We have been taught to be quiet, and we definitely have been taught not to take up space. This is why we have so many issues with women in the workplace not going for jobs that they absolutely freaking deserve, because they just don't raise their hand as much as our male counterparts. And so you have to get rid of this idea that you need to be a good girl, you need to be polished, because that is holding you back. That is causing so much of that inner saboteur, because when you try to go outside those lines, when you try to color outside those lines, you're going to freak your nervous system out. And that's where those negative thoughts come from. It's not actually your inner saboteur trying to sabotage you because it hates you. It is just trying to keep you safe. And so if you have all these programmed beliefs that taking up space, that being visible, that being a freaking star is actually not safe for you, those saboteur thoughts are going to be way louder and way more intense. So try to, as much as you possibly can, get rid of the idea that you need to be a good girl in order to be respected. I actually have another experience. I once was really jealous of one of my idols, Trixie Mattel, a drag queen, of course, but I used to be really jealous of the way that as a man dressed as a woman, she was almost so confident and saying things like, I don't know, saying all these like really vulgar but also sassy things. And I was like born women could never speak like that. And I was like, to hell they can't. Like, that is so my programming, you know what I mean? Like, to speak in this really like confidence kind of way. I thought that was only reserved for men dressed as women, but that was literally just my programming. I was just being triggered by somebody else's confidence. And that's why I think just so many of us, we think that we hold ourselves back because we are so afraid of being seen as confident, because so much of the programming is like confident, successful women, her bitches, they're lonely, they're assholes, you know? So really, really trying to change that belief system. You can be the biggest, hottest megastar and still be an extremely, extremely good person. All right, let me get into this system, because I've got 4 things that you can do over 4 weeks. So this is like a step-by-step process that will become your toolkit, bouncing back into momentum, into positive energy, into feel good, hot, megastar, like showing up as the best version of yourself. This is a system that I have developed over years. I'm pretty sure I've made another video on this, so you can find it. I can't find it, but I know that I've made another video on this. But this is literally a system that I have been developing because people always ask me, like, how do you bounce back from a negative space, a bad feeling space? And this is exactly it. So the first thing, like let's say week 1, is going to be, you have to slow down the negative momentum. If you are a fan of Abraham Hicks, Esther and Jerry Hicks channel, a being, and give all this amazing advice on spirituality and the law of attraction, they quite often say that when you are in a bad feeling space, you have that negative emotion bubbling up, or you've been triggered, or something's going on. Like, I'm not talking about a big traumatic life experience, but you know, you're just not feeling good. Like, you're just feeling bad. They always say, don't try to solve it. Don't try to fix it. Definitely don't try to work through it. Actually, take a nap. And I think this is such good advice, in all honesty. Like, I'm going to use my example of becoming a content creator and building a personal brand. There have been so many times where I have had high expectations for a piece of content, posted it, and it has like absolutely tanked. And it makes me feel like shit. In all honesty, that's when I start going into that. This piece of content tanked. My whole entire business is tanking. I'm old. I'm over the hill. My business is failing. You know, I can really, really go downhill. Rather than being like, I need to post more, I need to post more, I need to post more, I have now learned to take a little step back, to take like a digital detox, if you will. Whatever it is, whether it's taking a nap, whether it's taking a couple of days off, if you have the luxury to do so, for whatever reason, you might not be able to, taking an hour to yourself, going for a fucking walk, like whatever it might be, but just taking some time to take a step back and detox. One thing when you're doing this detox rest state is that you really want to understand what caused this situation, what caused this trigger, what caused you to feel this. Because the more that you question the things as they are happening versus seeking the problem, which could be an entire video in and of itself. I feel like so many people get caught in personal development loops because they're constantly seeking problems. But what I believe is that you actually say to yourself, what belief is coming up, what belief is being challenged, what belief is being triggered in this moment where you've stepped away, and investigate it in the now so that you can develop systems to override it next time it potentially happens. So if I'm having all of these beliefs and ideas about myself because a piece of content performed bad, then obviously I'm going to develop an emotional regulation system so that I don't do that again. So maybe in the future, it is trying to emotionally disconnect from the results of my content, having more fun during the process of creating content, posting and ghosting. Like there's so many different things. I'm not going to get into the specifics of every example, but you have to figure out what your system, your method is going to be moving forward. But either way, to reset, you need to take a step back. When you go through a period where you're not feeling good about yourself, what's generally going to happen is that you are going to lose self-belief. If you are feeling bad about your appearance, if you're feeling bad about your skills, if you're feeling bad about your potential, you need to reactivate your sense of belief. And this is essentially going to be week 2. This is going to be step 2. And I know you could possibly do this over like 4 days, but just to give yourself enough time to feel really freaking amazing and to actually like change your life, I'm just going to keep going with the weeks. So the second week, after you've reset, after you've detoxed, after you've allowed yourself to get back to a neutral state, and you've identified the triggers, and you've identified the experience that put you there in the first place, and you've created a system so that it won't happen again in the future, the next thing is you need to reactivate that positive self-belief. All of your ability to take action, to feel good, comes from belief. It comes from an expanded mindset. So, going with my example, if I was feeling really shitty because my content wasn't working and I took a digital detox and I developed systems so that I'm not feeling that kind of way in the future, the thing that I would then do in week 2 is I would start expanding my belief system. I would go on an absolute freaking rampage of finding examples of people that maybe have become successful later in life. Maybe people who, were the 10-year to be an overnight success. I would watch interviews. I would find creators that light me up. I would hear people talking about the challenges. I would watch videos about people talking about the challenges that they had to overcome so I didn't feel so alone. It's all about expanding your belief in what's possible, because the worst thing that you can do when you go through a negative experience or you go through a negative emotional experience is that you lose faith, you lose belief. That is going to keep you in that bad feeling space way longer than you need to be. You need to reactivate inspiration. I know people say that inspiration and motivation are not good emotions to rely on when it comes to being successful, that you should focus more on habits, which I believe also, and I'll talk about in just a second. But either way, inspiration and motivation are like the jump start. They are the thing that are going to get you activated into energy, and then it's the habits that will keep you moving forward. So expand your belief in what is possible. Get yourself excited again for whatever it is that you're trying to be successful in, whether that is starting a business, content creation, anything. Just get your belief system as high as it possibly can be, because again, it is your responsibility not just to feel good, but it is your responsibility to believe in yourself, because whilst I'm sure you've got a lot of other people that believe in you, and if you don't, find some, but it doesn't matter how many people believe in you. If you don't believe in yourself, you will never achieve the things that you desire to achieve. All right, so you have reset. you have re-inspired, the next thing to do is to build a system to keep moving forward. So you kind of touched upon this in week 1, but week 3 is going to be all about what are the habits that I actually need to implement in my daily routine so that this thing that happened doesn't happen again and that I can maintain that good feeling state. Even though on this channel I have talked many times quite negatively about the morning routine, things like a morning routine is one of the things that will help you to implement all the things that you need to do to get into that good feeling state. Now, I'm not saying that you need to do like the 5 a.m. morning routine or the miracle morning or any of those really typical, like have a cold shower, go for a run, like whatever. Your morning routine should be specifically just designed to make you feel like the hottest bitch alive, to make you feel like an absolute freaking megastar. And it might not even be considered like a morning routine. It might just be a set of rituals or things that you do on the days that you need to feel a certain way to take action. Like for example, look at me, look at my extension. I got my makeup done today. I've got my extensions in. I've got an outfit which looks amazing, but is the most uncomfortable thing I've ever worn because today I am creating content. I have developed a ritual, going with my example, that I want to have fun. I want to feel good. I want to literally just so love and enjoy the process of creating content because, guess, like I said, even if this video doesn't perform amazingly, I'm going to be really proud of it because I'm going to be really proud of the effort I put into it, the way that I look, the little set that I set up here. So I'm still getting positivity out of this experience regardless of whether it does well, which was the thing that triggered me in the first place. And so that's a routine. That's a routine for me on the days that I need it, getting dressed in a way that makes me feel like the hottest bitch alive. Whatever you need to do, if it's going to work every single day, what do you need to do so that you feel powerful, strong, confident to use your voice? If it is going to the gym so that you can feel as healthy and as energetic and as vivacious and feel as amazing as possible. Whatever you need to do, remember, going back to what Gala Darling said, your number one responsibility is to feel good. And so in week 3 of your Bounce Back Megastar Mindset routine, you are absolutely going to be setting up the routines that make you feel like a freaking megastar. Now, with that, one routine that's really important is the one that we, like I said, discussed in week 1, which is going to be that anti-trigger routine, we can call it. Making sure that you have regulation systems within yourself so that when those negative emotions do come up, you can handle them before they become a thing, before they completely knock you off. Some things that I like to do for emotional regulation is exercise. That is a really good one. Cold showers is another one that people recommend. Breath work, tapping, anything, shaking, literally shaking and dancing. I don't want to shake too much because my outfit's so loud, but anything that you can do to move that in negative emotion, as Esther and Jerry Hicks said, or Abraham said, go to sleep, just having a system for nipping that negative emotion in the butt before it becomes something that is going to knock you off your momentum. Because if you can just have a small hour reset versus needing to go back to the start of this every single day, you're going to be able to move forward towards success much faster. And then the final phase is authentic action. You have to find a way to maintain that momentum, to maintain that positive momentum, to enjoy the journey, to feel good. You will be much less susceptible to your inner saboteur, to triggers, to the negative things that knock us off the bandwagon when you are having a freaking good time. When was the last time you had just so much fun? You didn't notice the negative voices in your head. You didn't notice something triggering you as much. You were probably just having so much fun. Like, I don't know, I think when I'm at like a festival raving, I'm not sitting there judging myself, even if I potentially look silly or ugly, like whatever, I'm just having a good time. Like, I think that we don't realize that can actually be our day-to-day experience. We actually are allowed to enjoy our experience as a human being, whether we're creating a career, in relationships, with our health, we are allowed to enjoy the journey. And so after you have reset yourself, go through that experimental phase of actually figuring out the actions that are most authentic to you, that feel the most fun for you. That is going to be the thing that will contribute to you less likely going into that negative space in the future. All right, I just realized how freaking long this video was. So please, if you have any specific questions, I know this was a lot of information, but I have a lot to say on the topic. But if you have any specific questions on the Megastar Mindset process, please leave them in the comments below. I would love to make more videos on this topic. The links are in the description. I love you. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I will see you in the next video.